my toes, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to get started, and I'm sure people are going to funnel in. We're recording it. Don't tell anybody, because the future ones we want people to show up to. Link is only on command, on demand. Some things we are talking about today. We are featuring Chum Tran, one of our very own from the Longmont office. Chum, can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been here at Coldwell Banker, how long you've been in the business? And
okay.
Yeah.
I started 22 years ago this month. Always been with Chris Anderson. I got my license, shoot, I don't even remember how old I was. I guess I must have been 22 years, so mid 20s, I guess, late 20s, and started with Perry and Butler before Coldwell Banker bought out Perry and Butler. And I think I've been here right behind Cheryl. I think Cheryl started right around that time before me, and then just been here since.
Nice.
Best team ever.
So you guys both started when you were 5, as Chris likes to say.
I wish.
Yeah, so some things we're going to talk about with Chum is personal finance and some tools that you can put in your pocket to really employ and empower yourself to prepare for a better future as a real estate agent. This business is a pretty chew you up and spit you out business. And so it's really important to take control of every check that comes in. So that way you're less stressed. That way you can add more value to your life and prepare yourself and your family for your future. So one of the first things that I want to talk about with Chum is making your commission go further. So can you give us some tips of some tricks that you've kind of employed over the last 22 years to help you?
I mean, my situation always hasn't been as a single mom, obviously. So when I started, we were a 2-income household. And if you're in that situation, we always kind of managed the commission side as a bonus check, kind of, if you have, a husband that gets bonus checks, and you don't really try to pre-spend those bonus checks. So if you're in a dual income household, we always used my income as a way to pay off any debt or to go towards any fun. So it was never like mainstream income during the time that we were a 2-income household. We never planned on the commissions. We never lived off of the commissions. Of course, then that changes when you become a single parent and your only income is your commission check. And I think for a lot of new agents that come into the business that it is your sole income. You have to learn it's almost like a firefighter's job.
Yeah.
So, they have their schedule where they can work 4 10s and they've got, 4 days off, and a lot of them have 2 jobs. And if you're willing to do that until you get your business set up, the stress level of just basing your life off of just commissions becomes that much less. So for me as a single parent, I've always had 2 jobs, real estate being my main source of income, but never my day-to-day income as far as groceries and household bills and stuff like that. I have a second job. I'm a personal trainer, and I've done that also for 25 years. And so if you can find a job that helps you, all of that for me starts at 6 a.m. and I'm typically done by 11. Then I start if I have real estate stuff, typically none of that has to start with clients till after that time. And so finding a balance of how to make your commission go further for me is if I have a commission check coming in, I have my day-to-day expenses paid for, and then I pay ahead. So for example, like I can afford to pay my monthly bills off of my second job, but my commission checks allow me to get ahead. So if I have a closing in February and I did not have anything in January, I'll take that February commission and I'll pay forward all of my bills until as long as that will stretch. Sometimes if it's, just a $4,000 commission check, then that can get me through 4 months of insurance and of, homeowners insurance, car insurance, whatever that might be. You can't really pay forward groceries or anything like that, but I've found that you can pay forward or set up a separate account just for your commission checks, and certain bills just automatically draw out of that. My main household bills come out of this account, and then I have a separate account for my commission checks, which then I can pay forward out of that account.
That's perfect. And that's something that we're going to explore in further detail as we continue on with this talk, because the power of setting up separate accounts for all of your expenses and for separating business expenses and separating your personal expenses is really what's going to empower you to have clarity of mind, peace of mind, so that way you can move forward in building your business and building relationships with your clients and making sure that you're not only doing that, but you're covered on your end. So this is a really, really important topic to bring up. On the dual job front, I resonate quite a bit with that, because as I was sharing with Chris just an hour ago, before I came on and took this job, I was a real estate agent, and I had two jobs. I was a musician and I was a real estate agent. And it's so funny because people say musicians don't make money, but I did.
Sure. You can
And
find those gigs that pay you well. And
you can find the gigs. It's much like personal training.
Right.
Once you build the relationships, then you can have steady gigs. And it was one of the most powerful ways for me to make sure that my expenses were covered. And so I was able to treat those real estate checks
do something you love.
Exactly.
Right. At the same time.
Yeah. And the cool thing is I'm sure that you do the same thing with your business, is you can funnel business from your personal training, from your musician job, from any other job that you're taking, and build relationships that much easier because you're also in another industry.
Yeah.
And so positioning yourself that way has proven to be a very powerful tool for a lot of real estate agents.
I definitely have found a majority of my clients through my other job.
Exactly. And it's an easy way to network without having to
go out there,
do the expense of networking and building the relationships. I'll give you guys one more tip. Another real estate agent that I worked with down in Florida didn't do any marketing. He didn't do any outreach, no nothing. And so I asked him, I said, well, what do you do? How do you make your money? So I don't know. Well, hold on. How do you make your money? I don't know. Well, what do you do? What's your weekend look like? He goes, oh, I have football Sunday at my house every weekend. How many people do you have come over? Oh, about 40, 50 people. You do that for fun? Yeah. My wife pays for it because she's got her little job, and, we just set up a spread and I do the barbecue and we just hang out. 40, 50 people. That's when he realized that his business was coming from those 40 to 50 friends every single week. So it's a really powerful way for you to think about if you're in a situation where you're married and you've got two incomes, you can really take advantage of being able to foster connections. Or if you're by yourself and you're, working 2, 3, 4 jobs, it's okay because you can still build those connections and really streamline your income through multiple streams.
I mean, before I came to Coldwell Banker, I worked a really cush job with Quest, which is now, what is it still Quest now? What is it? Mountain Bell, Quest, all that type of stuff. And I had a great job there. I was in my 20s and I made 6 figures. I had a per diem for my car. I had everything I wanted, my own office and everything. And, at that time in my life, I think I was 27, and I just decided that wasn't my lifestyle that I wanted to have for a career. And I was passionate about real estate. And so at that time, I just had to make a decision what my future was going to look like. And if I could somehow make that same kind of money, but do it on my own. And the only way I was able to do that was to have 2 jobs, but 2 jobs that I loved to do. Mm-hmm. And I knew at that time, I didn't have kids yet, but I knew at that time I wanted to have kids and have a flexible schedule and be able to pick them up from school and, do all that type of stuff. And so I truly believe, like, if people come into the mindset of real estate as a very good supplemental income until you get to the point where it can be your sole income, I think that really helps take the stress off of the high retention of turnover for real estate agents.
Oh yeah. And one of the big retention pain points is living debt free.
Sure.
Right. So can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you encountered when you started, building up your business and transitioning into having it be a big source of income for you, and some things that you've done to kind of stay debt free during the process?
So I really didn't live debt free until I got a divorce and realized, like, how much that was going to be on me. And I think for people that aren't in a divorce situation, or even if you have like kids that are looking at their jobs and what they want to do, or daughters or sons, and they're single or they're married or whatever, living debt free for me meant no credit cards after I got divorced. And so that was really tough because in my situation, I wasn't getting any alimony or child support. So it was just on me. And that had happened, at the time after 9/11, and the market was so tough, like almost similar to what it is today. Even though our market is great today, it's almost like I feel like I'm working a short sale because you have to give like 15 different offers before you even get a house, so it's tougher now. So I felt like living debt free allowed me live less stress. Never is life ever stress free. I mean, we all know that never ever happens, but it allowed me to have less stress and a little bit more peace of mind. And so coming out of my marriage, I had a credit card that I had maxed out. I mean, I'm fine to be personal with everyone. I maxed it out to like $42,000 because I was used to this lifestyle when we were both together and real estate was great. And then went through a divorce and had nothing. And then the market completely changed and I still had bills. And so I decided to take a class. It was Dave Ramsey's Living Debt Free. Like every church in the country offers it. It's not a religious based thing at all, but they just happen to find it works best at churches. And I took that class and it just kind of talked about, and when I took that class, it was an in-person class. And I think I was like 30 something at the time. And most everyone in that class was probably in their 50s or up. And so I was like, wow, I don't want to be in my 50s in the same situation that I feel like I am in my 30s. And so I feel like if we can get a hold of it when we're younger and we can teach our kids and our grandkids how to manage money and living debt free, it really opens up a lot of doors. So for me, I canceled my credit cards. I got a third job. So I was doing real estate, I was doing personal training, and then I went and worked for my brother. And so I paid off all of my debt in 2 years. And I haven't had a credit card since. That's probably been 15 years. And so a lot of people fear like, oh, if you don't have a credit card, how do you have backup income? What if you have an emergency? What if you want to rent a car or rent a hotel? And you can do all of that stuff without a credit card.
Yep.
So
Yes, you
I
can.
think that is like living within your means. And if I couldn't afford it, I wasn't going to put it on a credit card and say, I'll pay for it later. So I think that's important for our kids to learn. I mean, obviously, I opened up a credit card for my 19-year-old daughter for her to establish credit, but it's a credit card through our bank. So she doesn't get any points and she doesn't get any perks, but it's actually a little bit more responsible because it's connected to her savings account. And so it automatically pays her credit card off every month. It's only a $500 limit, but my lender, who's at First Bank, also said that's all we need to see is like she can use it for groceries, for gas, and then automatically pay it, set it up through an auto withdrawal from her account, and it just creates that responsibility for younger kids or even adults that don't have that money managing skill yet to kind of learn how to live within your means, which is tough. I think we all want that nice car and the nice clothes and the great vacations, and I'll talk about too later, like how I set up vacations with my kids and how we paid for that without having credit cards.
Oh yeah. So we're definitely going to talk a lot about that. On the front of preparing for a solid financial future, some of the big notes to take away is it's okay to start at any point, at any age, doesn't matter. The important thing is to start from a mindset where you are preparing yourself to grow and to move forward. And so things like not using credit cards if you can help it to help you get into a state where you're financially stable is one of the most powerful tools, even though it's difficult, and it's going to benefit you tenfold because you can take those practices moving into building accounts. So working with an accountant is one of the most powerful tools that I like to recommend people to try. And I'm sure you work with an accountant as well to make
I
sure that
do.
you've got your things together. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've learned working with your accountant that have benefited you?
Oh my gosh, if I didn't have an accountant, my life would be so stressful. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
some things are totally worth paying for. Like my accountant, I also use his bookkeeper to do my bookkeeping because having four kids at four different ages, or having no kids, even if you're an empty nester or single, like just having someone to take care of that stuff gets you in line to pay your bills on time, gets you in line to get your taxes prepared on time. Like I think my bookkeeping fee is like, I don't want, I think I can't even remember because I just auto pay for the year
Mhm.
when I have a commission check. So I don't know any of my monthly bills because I have no monthly bills besides I do have a mortgage though. Um, but my bookkeeper is probably like $150 a quarter.
Mhm.
Even if it was a month for me, that would be worth it because I don't pay cable. I don't have any monthly subscriptions to anything. Um, my kids just learn to live without all those amenities, which we don't need. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I told them they had the option to have Wi-Fi or cable. They all chose Wi-Fi, so we're
Oh, yeah.
good. Yeah. But using an accountant helped me, just stay on top of everything, especially in real estate. I think it's really important to learn like what your payoffs can be, what your write-offs are, how you can get around things, using your square footage in your home, in your taxes, and all that type of stuff. I think it's crucial.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think it's a really important tool, and accountants are there for you, and they're good accountant is always going to be non-biased, right? They're really focused on helping you find solutions that are going to prepare you moving forward or get you out of situations where it might be a little hairy, and that's totally okay. So one of the things that I recommend when you get with an accountant is obviously setting up yourself. If you decide that you wanted to set up your business as an LLC or an S corp, being able to disperse your funds to your business and to your retirement and to your child expenses as it relates to college funds. We're going to talk about college funds very shortly. Before you even get your home expense checks, right? You've already paid for your taxes. You've already paid for your marketing budget. You've already paid for, all of your paper materials, and you're accounting for these things before you see the surplus. Before you see all of it, it's all done. So that's why working with an accountant is one of the most powerful tools. Setting up your kids for the future with that regard, right? One of the things that is highly beneficial is setting up a 529 plan for your kids so you can prepare them for college. Want to share a little bit?
Sure. So
Yeah.
529 for me was not when I was younger or, being a single mom, for me was not something that I could afford to do. The girl's dad did do that. And I feel like having a plan for him doing that made the girls turning 18 going to college that much less stressful.
Mhm.
Because I think that we all say we're going to pay for our kids to go to school or we want to help them pay for to go to school and stuff like that. But if you don't plan ahead, it literally sneaks up on you like that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And those bills are brutal. I mean,
Oh, it's
let's
a car payment a month
yeah,
easily
yeah.
if that's, what you equate it to.
Yeah, what's the cost of taking a kid and putting them in
Oh
college
my
nowadays?
gosh.
What does it look
So,
like? Because I think this is one of those big questions, right? And we'll talk
yeah.
about why this is important for you to know if you don't have kids currently as
So I have
well.
a freshman in college right now at the University of Iowa, and I have a senior who's going to CU next year. So next year I'll have two kids in college, two kids at home. Um, and for me, I never got to go to college. I came here as an immigrant with my dad, and he worked really hard to raise five kids and never had the means to send us to college. And then at 18, I opened up my own business. So I never had that opportunity to go to college. So I wanted to be able to help my girls understand the value of that, even though I didn't have it. Um, and so, for example, out-of-state tuition at Iowa, that's 45,000 a year.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a year. That's like if you think about like you want to go buy that new car, that's $45,000, and then you think, oh well, I have 6 years to pay that off. 6 years to pay off a $45,000 car. Well, we've got $45,000 a year times four.
Yep.
You know, you don't have the luxury to still like extend it like that. And then Emma's going to CU next year. CU in-state tuition is $34,000 a year. So you combine that and you're looking like, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay $80,000 a year, still pay for my two kids at home, still live my life and still be able to live? And so honestly, I have to say that I put most of that on my kids to try to figure out and navigate how that's going to work.
Oh, yeah.
And we really started working on that when they were able to start to work. So nowadays you can start working at 14. So tell your kids and your grandkids to get out there and start working, because every penny helps to save.
Oh yeah.
And so for me, I was fortunate enough that my oldest daughter at Iowa was on a scholarship to go there, but that took work too. I mean, that's a lot of work. It was an athletic scholarship. So whether they have athletic or academic, that just really helped with them taking charge and owning what they had to do and the research they had to do to get there.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, the power of teaching your kids a work ethic very early on is so important. That's something that I didn't have the opportunity to do. I was fortunate. My family was in a position where, you know, I didn't have to work growing up.
Right.
So that's great. But at the same time, I had to learn work ethic and the value
Once
of a
you became
dollar
an adult.
once I became an adult,
Yeah,
much
that's
later.
tough.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I'm in the camp where I think kids should work before 18. They should learn how to do that. They should learn why it's important, why saving is important, why learning how to build credit when you get to that age where you can get a credit card, why that's important and the value of that, and how much college costs and how that's going to impact you if you are not in a position where, you know, the family can pay for the college expenses, and what that debt looks like and whether it's worth it or not for you to pay. I think it's really important as a parent, as a realtor, for you to impart that on your children, and also be able to be emotionally cognizant for the clients that do have those children, right?
Yeah.
For the clients that do have 2, 3 children that are about to go to $45,000 a year college, right? Those clients are going to be very stressed and their goals are going to be very different. So it's important as real estate agents to be patient with those kind of situations.
And I think sometimes our clients look at us as financial advisors.
Yes, they do.
Although we should not be advising them. But you know,
not.
but I think that we can also help them, give them tips.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at buying next year. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I've got this, this, and this. And so even if you don't have kids in college, or you're past that, or you don't have, like, I think it's good just to be aware of what those costs are and
Yeah.
what those debts are for people that are.
Yeah, and 45 nowadays is really middle of the road. Some colleges are 60, $65,000. I know my college was 60 grand a year, and I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have the help in a scholarship. There's no
No.
way. There's
There's
way.
no way.
Because that level of debt is so hard to pay off for anybody. And so the power of teaching children is one of the most useful tools, not only for moving forward as a parent, but also moving forward as a real estate agent, because
Yeah.
you can impart those tips, and you can introduce people to the concept of that, and
Yeah.
then they can feel empowered to really move forward and
Right.
learn more. You know, with that being said, let's talk about putting money away and you know, saving.
That's hard.
It's hard. It's really hard. It's a challenge, right? What are some things that you do to put some money away at every commission check?
Well, I always have done the set plan through Coldwell Banker. I think I started that when it was Perry and Butler, so that would have been over 20 years ago. And I just take out a percentage of my check, which Coldwell Banker will set that up for you. I don't know anything about stocks or retirement or anything like that. And so all I told the investor at that time, I can't remember if it's Mark Jacobs now still.
Yeah, it's
or
Mark
who it
Jacobs
is.
still.
Yeah. So see, I don't even know who it is that takes my money out of my check. I don't even know. But if I don't have it, then if I don't see it in my check, I don't spend it. And so I would suggest for everyone to do that. So
yeah.
There's certain times in life when you're doing better and you can up or down your percentage that you take out. Sometimes it's only going to be 5% of your check, but that 5% adds up. Some days, you know, some months when you're feeling like you've got a little nest egg, then you bump that up to 10%. And then at the end of the year, my accountant will say, you've got X much more amount of money you can put into that will be tax free. And so he'll tell me exactly what that amount is. And if I have that amount, I put that towards my set plan, and then that's just less money I pay out of taxes.
Yeah, and it's more money in your pocket at the end of the day. I mean, we're talking, the set plan is one of the most useful resources that you have available to you here at Coldwell Banker. And then on top of that, you can, depending on what your expenses look like and how you want to allocate your budget, you can form Roth IRA. You can contribute to all kinds of other plans that have tax-free growth. And the power of tax-free growth, when you start adding and adding, is compound interest, baby. Compound interest. And all of a sudden you're loaded when you retire. So it's really useful to take advantage of these plans. So that way, you hit the tail end of your career. You're not wondering how you're going to pay for your bills after.
Especially as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
We don't get, pensions, and we don't get the matching 401k from our employer. And so you really have to take that upon yourself if you want that for your future.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's running a business, right?
Yeah.
When you're running a business, these are some things that you want to take into account. So some things that I would love to share. We've got a whiteboard over here. I might pull it out. It just depends on how high def we think. What do you think? You think it's going to be high def or not?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I'll pull it over here on the side. Some things we were actually before this meeting watching a YouTube video on Tom Ferry talking about finance. And I love Tom Ferry because he's pretty heavily focused on how to make your commission check grow further. And these are some tools that I think every real estate agent should practice. Whether you can see this or not is irrelevant, because I'll probably, do a little diagram and scan it and send it to you all. The majority of agents, and I am guilty of having done this in the past, have gotten their check. This is the majority. The majority of agents have gotten their check and immediately start spending it. I did this with my first couple checks. I said, yay, I've got money. Didn't even ask my parents anything. Didn't worry about the taxes because wasn't used to it. And I went and bought a BMW. It was great. Yep, bought a $44,000 BMW. I thought I could pay for it, the whole thing. And the next thing you know, I'm up to my eyeballs in debt, wondering where my next check is going to come from.
Right.
And so I got into that zone of like, oh, wow, I really need to sell a house. I really need to sell a house. I really need to sell a house because I have to pay the bill. I have to pay the bill. I have to pay the bill. And at some point, a light bulb switched, and I sat down with my parents and I sat down with the accountant and I said, I can't do this anymore. I have to figure out how.
I think most people have to get to that point.
Yes.
To want to save.
Yeah.
And so as adults, sometimes we have to get to that point. We got to hit rock bottom and then feel like all the material stuff we have in our life is not worth the peace of mind.
Yeah.
And then I have to give the grace to my kids to get to that point, because of course I want them to lead this life, but they haven't had the chance yet to hit rock bottom and see what it's like to have to make money or to have to save. And so I think, like, even if our kids sometimes don't want to listen to us, we have to remember that we were once there too, where we wanted them nice 325i or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And you got to help guide them make those mistakes. So
yeah. And that's, I was fortunate where I was able to be guided by that.
Right.
They allowed me to buy the orange Roadster that I would take to my showings and my open houses. And I had the orange BMW, the whole thing. And at some point I had to learn that wasn't the way that I was going to prepare myself for a healthier future. So this is an example of, these are two examples of some ways that you can disperse your checks. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Some agents that have a good grasp over their business, they have their check, and before the check goes to their personal account, they've dedicated it to an LLC, for example, okay? The LLC, you can allocate from those funds a portion of it for taxes. You can allocate a portion of those funds for your business expenses. And then after that, you can allocate that for your personal home expenses, which is a really useful way for you to make sure you cover your butt, period. And then also can contribute to growing your business. So would you agree? I mean, this is probably one of the most powerful ways for you to allocate your funds, period, on every commission check. And it's a difficult thing because it's the power of budgeting, living on less, and understanding, hey, I don't have 10 grand. I
actually have two.
Yeah, I actually have $2,000 to $3,000. And guess what? 60% of that goes to my kids. Yeah. Right. And so these are some things that budgeting is a useful tool for this. And
I think there were some times in my life when I would get a commission check and I wouldn't cash them and I would hold on to them. They expire in 90 days. So make sure you do that before 90 days. And I did that with my kids sometimes. So when my girls turned 14, they got a job. we actually did direct deposit for all of their checks into a checking account, which at 14 they didn't have access to. And so at the time we would do a direct deposit into their account and I would give them $10 a week. At 14, what more do you need $10 a week for? Honestly, like, what are they? They're not driving. We're usually taking them to eat or whatever. And so I would give them $10 a week to spend. All the rest of the money went to a direct deposit, and we kind of did like the same thing. I think I told Juan before, even my 8-year-old now, we have an envelope system on when they receive money for gifts, whether it's chores. I don't pay my kids for chores. That's just part of living in my home. But if you pay your kids for chores, or they get birthday money, Christmas money, whatever it may be, I give my kids ways to earn money for sure, but I don't have a weekly allowance or anything like that. But we have an envelope system, and it's a 3-tier system. And one part of the envelope is spending, one part of the envelope is saving, and the other part of the envelope is giving or tithing, however you want to put that. And so we did a percentage, and I did this with my girls who are now 19 and 18. And they have more money in savings than they even know about from doing that. And it's all their own money. So I think like with my 8-year-old now, we do, I think it's 60% savings, 30% spending, and 10% tithing or giving. But I've also taught my 8-year-old now, she earns $1 to do certain things. I said, just spend your ones. Everything else should go into savings. And so ones look good because there's lots of ones, right? So if her uncles give her $1 for losing their teeth or whatever, they have all these singles and it looks like a lot of money to them. So I've taught them just to spend your ones. Everything else goes into savings. And she's 8 and she has, she asked the other day, how much money do I have in savings? I said, you have $280, and that's separate from an account that I keep for them, separate from me, just her own money. And my oldest daughter, who's 19, I'm fine to share that too. She has $8,000 in savings from doing the same thing from starting to work at 14. She couldn't work a full-time job. She was a full-time athlete, but I still made her work on Sundays, the day off that she did have. And then summers and whatever that might be. And she saved all of that money without even knowing it. So once they turned 16, I let them have a debit card that was connected to my account, and still all of their money went into their savings. And then once they turned 16, they want to go out with their friends and do more. I still kept it at $10 a week. And then if they wanted more, if they were going to go do something, I just transferred it from their account over. But they knew it was coming from their account. So they were less apt to go out and just go crazy. My girls love to go thrift shopping because they just know the value of that. Like right now with my little kids, anytime we donate clothes or toys, we go to Once Upon a Child and we donate that, and whatever money they make from that, they get to pick new clothes and new toys. The only time they get clothes from a store, like a new store, would be Christmas and birthday. We don't ever buy stuff from Target or whatever. It's just, and so they love donating. They love getting rid of stuff because they know that they're going to pick new stuff. So even if we bring 2 laundry baskets of clothes that they don't fit anymore, they get to come home with like 5 new outfits or whatever. And at that age, it honestly doesn't matter.
It's a good tool too, because eventually they're going to get used to it's okay to donate things. It's okay to donate. And when you get to be an adult and you're donating higher amounts of money, taxes, it's tax deductible.
They think it's donating, right? And you kind of turn it into a good thing. But so even for like grandkids, I think that's such a great way to have them. If you want to have toys at your house for them, or if you want to allow them to take them out and go on a weekend away, like I know Cheryl does that with her grandkids all the time. She'll take them on a weekend and do stuff. And for some people, that if you want to do that for your kids or your grandkids, you don't have the money, you tell them, hey, this week, why don't you focus on what you can donate or sell, right? And a lot of it is not worth something, but sometimes if they bring enough and it's worth something, I'll just donate it to the Goodwill or whatever, and I'll give them $10 for that. Instead of just giving them $10, they're seeing like, I have to gather stuff in order to make money.
It's an if and then.
Right. So
Yeah.
even my 8-year-old this week, we're doing the same thing. We do it every winter, spring, summer, fall, every end of a quarter of school. So when we go on spring break, our first day of spring break is donation. Our first day, actually, on Christmas, we do it on the last week because they've received Christmas gifts. So our last week of Christmas is donation. And then we go into summer. Our first week of summer is donation. So we have an easy timeline for them to think about that. And so I just got boxes from Home Depot this week, and they're getting ready for their summer donations. And she knows, like, if she donates so much clothes and this and that, she gets to shop at the, secondhand store, which is all great stuff. Shoot, at that age, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
know?
Yeah. And it's empowering the child to say, hey,
Yeah.
these material possessions aren't as important to me. What's really
Right.
important is having more
It's
control.
good for me too, because I
Yeah.
have to do the same. I have to donate when they donate. I go through my closet and I do
Yep.
my closet. And one of the cool things too about that is now I've found families that I know personally that could use the items. As a single parent, I had someone who always gifted forward their kids' used clothes, which to me was invaluable.
Yeah.
To them, it was nothing, right? Like, we just need to get rid of it. But once you start, if you have multiple kids or your kids are growing up and out of the house or whatever, and you find different families that you can make an impact on, that feels even better than receiving money for those items. So I do have a couple families now that have kids that are younger than mine, and we just did a donation to them. They picked it up off our porch. I don't even go out of the way to bring it to them anymore because they're so excited to get it. I literally text them and said, hey, I've got 4 bags on my porch. If it's something you want, let me know. Otherwise, I can donate it. And actually, I just did that yesterday. And I received a message back from that family that, was very thankful for that. And he just said, Chum, I just wanted to say thank you for your love and giving heart. We got to read some really cool books to my sons tonight that we didn't have access to before. The new comforter is amazing and makes my son feel at home. Thanks for all you do. We're grateful for friends like you, and we love you. I mean, I'd much rather have that than any money in the world, right? That you're helping other people, and I showed that message to my kids because they're the ones that donated their books.
Yep.
And it just feels good.
And the power of that too, on top of it, is you're not just donating, you're not just practicing the art of giving, you're not just fostering, powerful relationships, you're building a strong community.
Right. And those people then will be like, oh, you want to sell your house?
Yes.
Like, I know this
Exactly.
realtor, she's super nice. I think it all comes in full circle to benefit
Yeah,
your life,
so
financially, spiritually, everything.
exactly. So the power of like learning personal finances and how to manage your money is really not a double-edged sword. It's a gift.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. It's a gift because you're benefiting others, you're benefiting yourself, you're learning how to empower your children, you're learning how to empower yourself, you're learning how to connect with your clients on a greater degree.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also building your future.
Yeah, you're truly creating a
Yeah.
client relationship without talking money.
Exactly. And so on that front, some other things that you can practice as far as going into greater detail, if you're really interested in, if you don't already have an LLC and you're wanting to think about an LLC, which you should definitely get with a lawyer, get with an accountant, and figure out what options might work best for you, because every agent's situation is different, just as yours is.
Mine's an S corp, and I
Yeah.
really don't know the difference. It's been so long.
Yeah, exactly. And
If I should be an LLC or
the liabilities, everything is different. So you're going to want to look into those things. And, the power of it, this is an example. So we've got an example here where you get your check that goes to your business account. So let's say it would go to your S corp. And from there, you can allocate money for your taxes. You can allocate monies for your business expenses, like paying your board dues, paying your Coldwell Banker dues, you're paying for marketing expenses. And then from there, you can move the money over, in this case, to an investment account, which disperses funds accordingly. So our first disbursement is for home expenses. Our next one goes to a cash account. So I love keeping cash reserves when you're running a business. This is one of the things I did before. I ran a detailing business on top of music.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I had a cash account on top of everything. So I would really pay myself, $50 a week is
Yeah.
what I would pay myself, but I had all of these
Reserves.
other
Yeah.
things covered, and I would cover myself for taxes. And so the cash account is a really useful tool, because those months that things are a little more difficult, you've got the cash to cover your business expenses. You've got the cash to cover any emergency funds that might pop up for the business or for your home expenses. In this case, we've got a 529 plan. So if you've got children, right, we've got a retirement account. So whether you're funding your SEP, or you're funding a 401k yourself, or you're going to fund a Roth IRA, some things you can take a look at. There's a money market account. Money market accounts are fantastic, because what the average growth of a money market account on a conservative side is anywhere between 6 and 8% over the last 45 years, I think. And then we've got a real estate investment account. So real estate is also a powerful way for you to diversify your income and also build wealth moving forward. And, these are some things where you can start with as small as a 1-bedroom apartment, a 1-bedroom condo.
And Coldwell Banker allows you to do it at a flat fee.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And you get paid the commission. So you put that commission towards your down payment.
Yes, you do. Right. And so there are so many different ways where you can prepare yourself as a real estate agent. Let's say you didn't have kids. Okay, well, you can pretend like you do and take that money and put it into a money market account, or put it into your real estate investment account. So that way you can get started on your journey towards building prosperity and financial freedom. Mm-hmm. So, this is just a simple example, and you can kind of go as crazy as you want with it. You can have a hyper budget. I've got a really great budget tracker that I'll share with you all after this session. And the budget tracker goes down to how much money do I spend on coffee every day? Yeah, I don't.
Well, now that we have the Nespresso machine in our office,
yeah,
we don't have to spend money on coffee.
It's a nice espresso machine, I'm telling you. It's really good. We all love it.
Chris sees me more now than she has in the last 21 years.
Yeah, so here's some great tools for you guys to take advantage of. I'll obviously write this down and have it as a little scan for you, so that way you can take a look at it and write some notes. I'll also include the Tom Ferry link to the YouTube video where you can learn about his take on it, and it's very much the same. These charts actually came from Tom Ferry, but I thought that they were beautiful examples. I've watched that video, I don't know, I told Chris like 10-15 times, I don't know what it was, and it's one of the things that has resonated with me, and one of the things that's led me towards asking questions about financial freedom, right? Asking questions about how I can take advantage of every single dollar that comes in from every sale that I make.
And I think all the stuff that we talked about today helps your son, your daughter, who's an adult or a teenager. It doesn't matter if they're a real estate agent or not. They can do the same thing with a W-2 job.
Yep. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
It doesn't have to be a commission-based job. So if you have a son or a daughter, or someone that's struggling financially, a sister or a brother, this is the same information that you can give them. It just happens to work for us too. And I think we have to be more diligent about it with a commission-based job. But, someone that's just trying to get on their feet, wants to buy a house, whatever. I think this is information that is good for any type of job, whether you're our age, in your 20s, in your 50s.
Oh yeah,
anyone,
any age whatsoever. And one of the other tools that I like to share with my clients, because I'm not in a position where I have children and things like this or whatever, but some things that I take into account is coming up with questions as solutions, right? So if I have a client who's saying, I'm really trying to prepare to buy my first house, and I feel like I just can't do it, I don't have money, I don't know how to save, this and that. I said, well, how about we sit down? Or, you can sit down with your financial advisor or your financial planner if you don't feel comfortable. But if you want, maybe I can give you some tips and introduce you to some people.
And they feel much more loyal to use you when that time comes.
Exactly, because you're now a trusted person. You're really concerned about their future, which is going to benefit your future as well.
Or they'll know someone that's going to buy or sell, and they say, hey, my agent talked to me about this, you should talk to them.
Exactly. And some ideas that I like to think about in reference to this, whether you're a real estate agent or in building your business, or you're helping out your clients, is okay, let's say you make $4,000 a month and you've got $900 in discretionary income. Okay, you could buy a $500 a month car, or you could pretend like you have a $500 a month car and put that money towards a savings account to prepare you for your down payment for a property.
Yeah.
Right. And so those are some ideas that you can take into account. Or, okay, well, what if you don't care about cars and you care about, preparing for
Vacation.
kids, a vacation, right? Okay. So the vacation is going to cost you $4,000, right? How about this year you don't take a vacation because you really want to buy that house? Instead of taking a big 1 week vacation, take the 1 day day trip.
Yeah.
Right. Or the 2 day day trip or the 3 day day trip. And do it where you go to a state park. There's a lot of free state parks, right? And so you're able to save that money and take that $4,000 that you would otherwise invest into a vacation and put it towards a down payment for a property. Or
I
put
think
it,
like
yeah,
a lot of people that I'm Facebook friends with, they're like, I'm gonna get a bumper sticker that my Facebook life is fabulous, But a lot of people will follow me like, how do you take all these trips with your kids? How you're always doing something fun, you're always doing this. And still to this day, I've never put any of that on a credit card. I've never pre-spent any commission. It's all based on being really good about your money, where you can take your kids, how to find a good deal. We did one year, I was telling Juan about this, and Chris had actually pulled up, so if you want it, Chris has the information, pulled up a link, but we did money jars, and my girls were young. They were like 10 and 14 at the time, and I did one too. And every day you put in a quarter. Then for the first week, then the next week it's 50 cents. Then the next week it's 75 cents. And it just compounds every week for 52 weeks. So it prints out a chart. I mean, obviously there's days where my girls couldn't put $5 a day in, but they could earn a way to put $5 in.
oh yeah,
Or if they got money and it was $20 for something, they would put the $20 in and pay it forward. There were weeks where we didn't do any money at all. But I told them whatever me and each of the two girls saved was going to be our vacation for spring break next year.
yeah,
So they each saved, I want to say like one of them saved $280, another one saved $350. I saved like $800. That was $2,000 to go on their vacation.
oh yeah.
And it was awesome. I spent zero money. So now I still do that for myself for Christmas gifts. So loose change, loose money, $5, $10, I just put it in this mason jar that I have. And at the end of every year, that's what I spend on my kids for Christmas. I never go into debt for Christmas or gift time or whatever. But if I just take that little money like this last year for the 4 kids, I think I had like $1,200. And that was just from money I didn't even think about. I'd pull $10 out of my wallet and be like, okay, I'm just going to put it in there today, or change in my car or whatever. And that's what I spent on Christmas. And it was awesome because I didn't even have to think about taking money out of my daily expenses to pay for Christmas. So
exactly. Yeah. And I'm on the same footing with that one, right? I mean, putting a little bit away makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And when you get to the point where you've put away where you can cover and you can take care of those business expenses and you can take care of your life expenses in a way that's really powerful, then you can start preparing for, a future where, you're buying an investment property or you're building a money market account.
And kids love to see that money go up just as much as adults.
Yeah,
so get that mason jar out.
So some other things that I wanted to share with you guys, if you're really interested. So the SEP program that we talked about, right, was the pension that gets contributed to right out of your paycheck. So that's another great tool. Another one that you've got available to you, and you can do some cross-reference shopping if it maybe helps your daily expenses and your monthly expenses, is the Spark program. So there's a tile on CB Desk that offers Spark, and it is basically a membership. So the basic membership is $36 a year. I'm not selling you, by the way, I'm just sharing. It's up to you guys to decide if you want it. So the basic membership is $36 a year, and the premium membership is like $72 a year, and it gives you some access to some other things. But I think the basic is fine. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because maybe if it helps you, there are 2 pillars to the Spark membership. So there's personal benefits, and then there's also discount. There's business benefits. So I'm going to give you a quick outline of what's there. For the personal benefits, you have access to some shopping for insurance benefits. including health insurance for individual insurance. You've got limited benefit medical plan available to you, limited duration health insurance.
Do you know anyone in our office that's on that we could ask them how that's going?
I do not currently know anybody that's in the office, but I'm really curious to
Yeah.
know. So if any of you are watching the video, or if anyone watches the video later and they want to, follow up with me, definitely let me know if you're a part of the program. There's also, you have access to MetLife, which includes dental and vision. There's auto and home insurance that you have access to
See,
shopping.
I didn't know any of this stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna sit down one-on-one and do it.
Yeah, Spark is pretty cool. It's got a VSB, you've got vision care. There's a Well Card Health, which includes prescription and healthcare discount cards. There is the Spark telemedicine program.
So it's like a health share program, kind of?
Effectively is what
Okay.
is what I'm seeing it as. You have access to AD&D from Prudential. Term and life insurance is available to you. Yeah, it's really cool. So, some of these things I would definitely take a look into if you're not already involved in a program like that, or maybe if there are certain aspects to this program that are more beneficial to you than what you're currently on.
Yeah.
Then why not take a
for
look at
me,
it?
as self-employed, that stuff is hard to come by.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so you also have access to a program called Defend, which is identity theft protection. There's LTC Global, which is the long-term care insurance. You have Honest Dollar by Goldman Sachs, which is they have offerings for a Roth and SEP IRA.
I'm putting it in my phone right now. I'm not texting.
Yeah. And then you also have discounts and services, which is epic. So there's hotel and flight savings. There's savings and discount programs. There's discount restaurant gift cards. So if you wanted to buy stuff for yourself or for your clients, you can definitely take advantage of that. There is an offering from Hotel Engine for private hotel booking platforms, which is gives you access to about 150,000 hotels globally at an average savings of 26% off of what current rates look like. So, when you do build up the money and you have vacation, you can do that. You have access to car rental discounts from Avis and Budget for business stuff. There's E&O offerings. There's home-based business insurance. There's commercial property building insurance. There's cybersecurity programs that are available to you. There's all kinds of stuff that is included in the Spark benefits. And on top of that, let's say you need to buy a computer for your business. There is Lenovo computer product discounts. There's McKissick Learning, continued education and license renewal discounts. There's accounting services available to you.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, definitely take a look at the Spark tile in CB Desk, and Chum and I are going to sit down and kind of work.
Maybe that'll be our next video.
Yeah,
Navigating through tile.
Yeah, it's really cool. I would like to do a series where I navigate through tiles. So if any of you are interested, definitely.
And I'll ask all the dumb questions.
Yeah,
and
no,
then it'll just like get everyone through it.
We'll get literally every single question asked, and if there's no answer, we'll find one. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We're towards the end of our little agent feature series. I wonder if you guys
Did
like
you say Asian feature series?
No, agent features.
Oh. I was like, wow.
Asian feature series. Oh my God, it's funny. Yeah, so the agent feature series. Oh my God, that's so good. So
I hope it was helpful and beneficial.
yeah, if you guys liked it, and if you don't like it, then you can shoot me an email and say I didn't like it, I hate you, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I doubt that.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions,
it's a great link too to share with clients if that's possible that are looking at buyers. So I think that would be cool just to help them out.
Yeah.
Siblings, brothers, sisters, sons and daughters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to share it with my kids.
Yeah, I'll definitely share the link with you guys so that way you have access to it, and you guys can really get on that conversational front of really asking those questions. So Cheryl, you got your mic off. You got a question?
Oh, I was just going to say thank you, Chum and Juan. Some great information. I kind of grinned a lot of the things Chum talked about, I've been doing too. And it's, being in this business, and my husband was always self-employed too. So, you always had to plan ahead. So great information. Hopefully all the people that checked in got some good tips what to do. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Glad we can offer. All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Thank you,
Have a
everyone.
good day.